This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on our podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Guys, we're going to keep dissecting these truths. We're going to just go there and talk about the dynamics of what's going on in our nation. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing the podcast. There's just a lot going on, a lot of things related to the podcast and the reels and talking about these things. I want us to just be able to process and understand. A lot of people don't understand. They get locked into that mainstream media and they will deceive us, and it's going to heat up as we get closer to November. So all the more reason that we want to pray for each other as our fellow Americans. There's our flag behind us representing the nation and the 50 states thereof. Here's our presidential seal to remind us to pray for the president, whoever's the president, family, cabinet, the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch. America needs prayer. We had an election that spoke loud and clear in 2024. We had a GOP trifecta. The people spoke loud and clear. 73% of Americans said they want the immigration to be upheld and people to be here legally. And 68% said in a poll that said they want the local law enforcement officers to cooperate with ICE. And then we have in the sanctuary cities and places that are run by the Democratic Party, they are in total opposition to what the majority of Americans want. That's what we've been dealing with. That's what President Trump walked into. And so, excuse me, all of this leads to a lot of dynamics in our nation. The majority voted for a particular thing. The majority say they want a particular thing that leads to safety and order. And then the Democratic Party, they want just the opposite. They want just the opposite. So we're going to talk about these things. And we're going to examine something that's generated a lot of discussion in our nation. The game changer. I call it the game changer. All of this is going to tie directly into our clinical perspective. The power of planning. Guys, like I said, it's going to heat up. Going to heat up. It's a lot going to go on. Now, in talking about the game changer, let's frame some things here. Adults in general, adults, I'm an adult, most of you are adults that are listening, are nowhere near being prepared for retirement. Guys, I didn't start getting prepared. Really getting prepared, focusing, locking down. Well, I started when I was in my 20s, then I got married, and the guy I was married to wasn't a good money manager, so we took some detours, and it is what it is, but I learned from that, and I learned that I could manage money. And all that's connected to being prepared for retirement. So I didn't lock down on it until I really got in my 50s. Gosh. So President Trump knows that that's how we think and that's what we do. We don't prepare. We don't prepare for owning a business, having property, having an education and training. But he does. That's why we have the Trump accounts coming out. They are a step in the right direction. Guys, this is a game changer to be able to, when they turn 18, children, when they turn 18, that they already have an IRA type of account. We're going to dissect some things because I'm really pushing this because a lot of people don't understand it. And they're like, I've seen these black guys on a particular page that say, ain't no way he's doing that for us. Ain't no way he's doing it for anybody. I said, well, it's already in the big, beautiful bill, so y'all can leave it on the table, or the other ones of us, all of us Americans, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, all the other ones, we're going to take it, and I'm going to invest it in my grandchildren, provided that my son and my daughter-in-law have a child before Trump gets out. And then you have the Dales, Michael and Susan Dale, who have designated $6.25 billion for those children in households that make $150,000 or less, and children that are 10 and under. Guys, that's a game changer. So the money can be used to pay on their education, to make a down payment on a house, or to start a business. Never, ever been done before. So you can use the money or just say, well, no, I'm going to keep contributing. And it will be a successful setup in terms of money being there for retirement. The Trump accounts are a step in the right direction. Guys, we are overwhelmingly outright unprepared for retirement. There are considerations that can be a game changer, though. With us considering the dynamics of what can be a game changer, it ties in together with our clinical perspective, the power of planning. In his 2025 annual shareholders letter, the president of BlackRock, he talked about saving for retirement. And the asset management firm surveyed 1,000 registered voters and found the average person believed they would need $2.1 million to retire comfortably. Y'all got $2.1 million sitting around somewhere? That's a number many of those same respondents said would be difficult to attain. The average person, listen to this, according to experts, almost no one's close to that, considering that 62% of those surveyed had less than $150,000 saved up for retirement. Wow, a lot of implications. That number would be much easier to reach theoretically if they had a Trump account. Numbers on the Trump account website suggest that if a child who is born this year in 2025 and whose family maxes out the $5,000 a year contribution, they will amass $271,000 by the time they turn 18. And by the time they turn 55, they will have up to $13 million. I honestly believe parents wish the best for their kids, and saving for their future is just one way to set them up for success. But most adults, let alone parents, they'll be fortunate if they have half as much as what their kids may amass if President Trump's new 401k type accounts come to fruition. He's planning for success. If they're newborn, they get $1,000 seed money. There are other millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires that want to invest in the children as well. I don't care if they get a tax write-off for it. It's gonna make our nation be emboldened financially in a way that never has been. During Trump's record-breaking, nearly 2-hour-long State of the Union address, he touted all sorts of economic statistics and pointed to areas of economic prosperity. All of this was while increased government spending is causing the country to hemorrhage in many ways, getting deeper into debt. Now, government spending to increase tax breaks, in terms of government spending to increase tax breaks, the Trump administration is offering a $1,000 in seed funding to any U.S. citizen born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. And here's what they have to do. Excuse me. They have to open a government-backed 401k account dubbed as Trump accounts. Now, let's look at it closer. I've talked about it before, but we're getting closer and closer to July, and people are saying, what do they mean? I've never heard of Trump account. Well, here we go. We're talking about retirement. We're talking about planning. We're talking about America. We're talking about our children. We're talking about being empowered. We're talking about getting away from a cradle to grave nanny state. And we have millions of Americans that we've been trained to think that way, that the government was going to take care of us. The accounts are supposed to go live July 4th of this year. It will allow parents and guardians to set up and contribute up to $5,000 a year for each eligible child. To qualify, children must be under the age of 18 or under. They expanded it. It had been. So any of them 18 or under, guys, this is a game changer. They have to be a U.S. citizen. And they have to have a Social Security number. Although the accounts can be used for anything from starting a business to making a down payment on a house to paying towards a college education or trade school education or even saving it for retirement, experts warn against treating the Trump accounts like how typical 401ks or thrift saving plans accounts work. Now let's look at that. One of the biggest takeaways I want people to understand is that it is essentially a tax deferral mechanism. The Trump accounts for children is not the same as 401ks, okay, as they are currently written. Families would definitely be saving for their children. They would definitely be receiving a match from the U.S. government, $1,000, and the Dales want to do $250 for kids living in households that are $150,000 or less, and they're 10 and under. And you have other very wealthy people who are adopting this program in their states. So you're definitely going to save for your child or grandchild or whoever you're the guardian of, and you're definitely receiving a match from the government, which is great if you're in a certain income bracket and your child is born under a certain year time span. That's for the babies, okay? So the income bracket is $150,000 or less. So the tax structure of these accounts is still, there are some things still being hammered out. And interested individuals should be aware of the potential tax implications is still being fleshed out, some specifics. Parents and employers can elect to contribute up to $2,500 pre-tax funds to a dependents account, operating much like how a typical 401k operates, as the government website now says. That they're making some adjustments and so forth as they go. Oh yeah. So it's going to be a game changer. The funds appear to grow tax-free in the account until the child turns 18, almost operating much like a Roth IRA. I have a Roth IRA. Guys, 14.5% yield. The average is supposed to be 7%. That thing is producing. Praise God. I started, and I'm not going to say I started too late. I started when I did. It was a gift from my son before he went in the military. That thing is producing, but it's setting something aside, setting it aside and just letting it grow, letting it work for you. The funds appear to grow tax-free in the account until the child turns 18, almost operating like a Roth IRA. Children are penalized for accessing the account prior to age 18. Any withdrawals above the amount contributed are then subjected to tax. That's the penalty, much like a traditional IRA. This also differs from a typical, 529 college savings plan, legally known as qualified tuition plans that allow beneficiaries to earn tax-free growth. Although contributions are not federal tax deductible, withdrawals are tax-free if used for qualified education expenses. That's how that works. Some experts say that the thing that they really tried to highlight for their clients and working with them about financial planning, especially when they ask about 529 plans related to college and all that, is that they want them to really know which ones are truly tax-free in terms of growth. And if they are used for the purposes as designed, you got to ask questions. Experts state that the accounts are an excellent opportunity to get children thinking about their financial futures, guys, at an early age. I love this. There's so much can be done with that. When our parents worked really, really hard and neither of them went to college and weren't raised with people who invested, and it was just like living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. And when they started a savings account for us, when we were like 10 or so, we would watch it. So $250 can earn a little bit of interest. Leave it there. You got to leave it there. We realized early on, okay, maybe if we set aside tiny amounts, it still will help us. This allows families that maybe don't have that option to still teach their children. I think it's fantastic. It's just a game changer. In President Trump's State of the Union address, he noted that, like I talked about, the Dales, Michael and Susan Dale, they are going to contribute $6.25 billion in a charitable gift, which would allow the first 25 million American children under age 10 and living in zip codes with a median income below $150,000 to receive an additional $250. Guys, $250 invested the right way, it can change your life. The benefit employers can offer in the pre-tax contribution directly to their dependents' Trump accounts can be a game changer. Employers this day and age are looking for additional benefits that they can offer their employees that really show how they're caring for them beyond just a salary. This can be a game changer. A lot of employers will be interested in adding this to their cafeteria plans. It may be helpful to speak with your tax advisor if it's a consideration that you qualify to benefit from this for guidance because of the guidelines regarding the Trump accounts, and to really sit down and see what may work best for your family. Understanding those goals may make a difference in your life. When those goals are understood now, instead of just opening every account that is available to you it can be really important because they have such varied tax implications. So there are options available. Talk to your tax advisors because they really can be very different. We have to get informed. Informed decisions make a difference. Guys, what have we looked at tonight? Game changer. Our clinical perspective, the power of planning. That's what this was about. Guys, we've been all over the place, but do you see the opportunity that is being presented for us as families and as Americans and for our precious posterity? Can you imagine turning 18 years old and having the down payment for a house and the money to start a business and the money to pay towards a college education or trade school, and you've been saving on it and your parents have been putting money in that and it's tax deferred and it's there for you to use, and if you specify that that is what it's going to be used for, gosh, you don't get penalized. That's a game changer. Guys, let's keep dissecting these things because as Americans, who has ever offered this to us as a nation? Who's ever done it? Tell me. Did Obama? Did Biden? Did Bush? Did any of them offer this to our children? Guys, it's a game changer. You all can sit around and bellyache and complain, or you can get in the game. I'm excited about this, and I really believe. See, the gravy train was taken from us. The gravy train contributed to the fraudulent scams and the money laundering fronts. This invests in America. I love it. Let's keep dissecting these things because we're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, as we continue to go together from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, planning, thinking about things, spiritual truths. I wish above all things that you prosper. That's what God says. I wish above all things that you prosper, even as your soul prospers. What is our soul? Our mind, our will, our emotions, our intellect, our drive, and our desires. And those facets of us have been under a serious attack. But this type of thing, what I'm talking about tonight, that can ease one's mind in terms of setting up our posterity for success. Guys, we're going to keep talking and dissecting. I'll see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.